Noon Report Live. Folks, going to be a nice week. You know what that means? There's Lynn Miller, Fast Facts on television yesterday. There's Joe, Joseph, Angie. Hola, one and all. Please share. Thank you for the stars in advance. Folks, make sure you vote. We're not begging for votes. We're not being victimhood with votes for best of. A little ludicrous. That's not me, by the way, that the cackle's referred to. She's talking about someone else. But anyhow, folks, we are live on the radio. Un momento. Just a moment. Just a moment. We're just waiting for the cue from JR. That's what we are doing. Whether anyone likes it or not. All right. Folks, here we go on this very pleasant Easter Monday. Yes, yes, yes. New week. In Cranston PD Live later in the week. Excuse me. By the way, we have the latest on Pawtucket bank robbery on Saturday. We're the only ones that have that story. If I ask you to vote, hold on. At 12:06 on this very sunny Easter Monday, those watching on Facebook can see, look at that blue sky, the den of thieves. Storm clouds are definitely forming overhead for Governor McGree, but not regarding the weather. Folks, it is Easter Monday. God is good. It is a beautiful Monday. I hope everyone had a nice Easter weekend. I certainly did. Folks, this portion of the John DePietro Show, and I popped in there yesterday, they are open for the season. And you can find them on Facebook. Once again, though, PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center. Wow. I mean, talk about spring has arrived. So this week, the weather's going to be good. Stop in. Beautiful selection of pansies, pansy flats, pansy bags, hangers and bowls, all assorted colors. What a difference it makes with your property when you have all different types of, colorful various plants. Tulips, hyacinthus, daffodils, beautiful hydrangeas. I love hydrangeas. Colors available, blue and pink, really pops on your property. And at PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center, 3688 Quaker Lane in North Kingstown. Screen loom, black, brown, hemlock mulch. Look for them on Facebook. They're open 7 days a week. And this week it is good weather. Folks, pop in and see them. They are just terrific. Easy to get to. PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center, 3688 Quaker Lane in North Kingstown. Well, right now, good afternoon to everybody on Facebook Live. This is the Noon Report. Now, I recognize some people watch it a little bit later. Some people watch it live, what have you. Obviously, with the good weather. This is live streaming weather, right? One on the scene live stream. And so we will be, we are prepared and ready to go. And especially this week, as I said, as the temperatures climb, plus it's school vacation week, which makes it, and I'm glad, by the way. Let the kids go outside and enjoy themselves. But we will be prepared to go. So good afternoon to everybody. And I recognize some people watch it. It's the Noon Report. I'm going to touch on some of the top stories. We do it every time. You want to know what's really going on out there. That's what this is about. And starting off with, now we're the only ones to report this. When I ask you to say, hey, vote for us this, I don't play the victim card. I'm not playing the gender card. I'm saying support us because the content, pound for pound, is as good as anything that is out there. That's why I'm saying to vote for us in the best of contest. Not because of, vote for me on the gender or vote for me because whatever, like begging. I'm saying we deserve to win. So when we have the two categories posted on the Facebook page. So best radio talk show, morning talk show. They changed it to morning. Or RI monthly, whatever. But we do start at 11 o'clock. And then also, a big part of what we do is also podcast. So, pound for pound, we definitely have best, you can vote. You can vote. So, anyhow, there are links on the Facebook page, and then it goes the entire month. So, but anyhow, check out, there was a robbery in Pawtucket on Saturday morning. I had something else going on. Otherwise, I would have been there. We did get tipped off about it. But you can see the story on the website, depetro.com. which is brought to you by the Coesit Inn, 226 Coesit Avenue in West Warwick. Remember, lunch, dinner, drinks in the lounge, and they had a big weekend, the Coesit Inn. And let me just check. I do see it. Now, again, I don't have video. But the atmosphere that Governor McGreed is setting up, you're going to see more of this. You're going to see more robberies. You're going to see more desperation crimes of people going in. Somebody went into that Webster Bank on Newport Avenue, and I did hear an amount of how much they made off with, but I'm going to withhold on that. But you can see that along with some other stories. We post a lot of the video. I fully recognize not everybody's on, as people like to say to me, Juan, not everyone's on Facebook. I get that. It is free, but not everyone's on Facebook. That's why you can also check out a lot of the videos that we have on YouTube as well. Now, to the matter at hand, excuse me, now, there was a shooting in Kentucky, and 4 killed in a shooting downtown Louisville building. I think for those that want information on that, there's certainly information that is out there. And something else that we're seeing is that Mayor Smiley is going to meet with the, quote, biking community, ATVs. The mayor's being too kind. I know he's saying he wants to listen and hear their point of view, and they're certainly talking about it. But to me, you're elevating various individuals who don't deserve that platform. And I'm not going to give them the platform. I know the issue. I don't need to hear it. I don't need to hear how they try to lay it out. The situation with the ATVs, to me, many times, some of the people that weigh in, they're not really that familiar with the issue. And as I've said, it doesn't stop them from weighing in. And case in point, I saw that when I put that the city's going to crack down on these ATVs, a good example, and you can always tell someone that doesn't really know, is, and I won't say who, but someone made a comment, let me just find it, along the lines, again, this false, maybe I will name them. I'm not above. I also don't understand, these people that get upset, we post pictures of these people that just decide to pitch tents. I think I'll just pitch a tent on a sidewalk downtown. And all these people that come to their defense. And these different individuals. That could be you. That could be any of us. Wrong. I disagree with that. There's a world of difference between people falling on hard times and pitching a tent on a sidewalk. That is never acceptable. Well, what's your solution? My solution is, first of all, no, that's not allowed. But I will touch on that. But people get so upset. Why? This is public property. Don't post the picture. It's public property. They don't belong there. They shouldn't be allowed there. And so many people want to just continue to say, you have to see Armory Park. It's awful. Take some photos. Send me the pictures. What do you mean? I don't know if I have to see it. You could take some pictures and send them to me. We'll post them. It is slowly becoming like San Francisco. Nothing to see here. Well, that's your opinion. I don't think it's acceptable. I posted some photos over the weekend of people that were on sidewalks in downtown Providence, and some of the comments are saying, I don't think that's Providence. All right, you're wrong. It says Paolino Properties. It says Matheson Street. I don't know what else to tell you. I ride around a lot. I don't see that. Oh, okay. Well, if you don't see it, I guess it doesn't exist. Listen, you can't have, if you talk with or follow some of the stories out on the West Coast, one of the first things they have said is you can't allow these individuals to start pitching tents. And it's actually interesting of how it really started out on the West Coast. It started with, and again, I posted, and I didn't even take the picture. These people, well, did you go over and ask them? Did you see if they're okay? Did you? Listen, they want money for booze and drugs. Many of the, quote, homeless, it is a series of bad decisions, poor choices. It is not, it's not lightning strikes. These people make a series of poor choices. Many of them started when they decided to start using illicit drugs. That was part of it. I'm not saying it's everyone, but there were many people that are saying, and again, remove Rhode Island from the equation. Look at the West Coast. Free meals, EBT cards, free cell phones. They bring showers around. They bring free health care. People start to think, you know what? It's not great, but I can make it. That's what it's about. That's what it comes down to. This could be any of us. I disagree with that. As someone that I go into many of the poor communities, there are poor people, but they work, and they may live in a poor neighborhood, but at least they're trying. Rent someone's garage. Anything's better than the street. They shouldn't allow them to pitch tents on the street. It's wrong. It's wrong. What would be my solution? You can't pitch a tent on the street. You can't lay on a park bench. That's loitering. No more panhandling. No more loitering. And you can't pitch a tent there. All right? Enough of this foolishness. But people that appease them and then enable them. Here we go. This woman, Nicole Marie. Where in the city is this? I Uber nightly. I don't recognize those buildings. You shouldn't be broadcasting and insulting them. This does not look like our city. What street? Okay. So now, it's not that there's a problem. I don't think that that's real. Hey, some of the other individuals, right? I'm homeless with children. Well, who did you decide to have children with? That was a bad decision. That guy that you shacked up with, it was a really bad decision. He was a bum when you met him, and now he's a bigger bum that he won't support you and your two children. You made the decision to get involved with him. You made the decision to have children with that loser. You did that. No, yeah, you are homeless because you shouldn't have gotten involved with that idiot in the first place. So, but the part that I just wanted to touch on before I do want to talk about the Bud Light thing, which again, I have no sympathy at all. But it was a comment, and it's about the ATVs. And I understand one of the downsides of social media is anyone that has an opinion, regardless of how ill-informed they are, how low IQ they are, how unintelligent they are, they feel that certainly isn't going to stop me from posting my opinion, as I see all the time. So one of the comments that the person was posting, nope, that's not it, because I am fully in favor of the cracking down on all of this and the city doing it, and it's about time. And it's one of those things that it festers, and it gets worse. As we talk about it, and city declares war on ATVs. Who is it that made that comment? That again, no idea what they're talking about. Now of course I can't find it now that we're live. Hold on, I'll find it. Because it's a good example of people that I really don't know what I'm talking about, but I think I'll post anyway. Okay, and who is it that posted that? Let me just find it because it's in Kevin Theobald, that's right. Let's see. Bust some real criminal. Let the kids play. Let the kids play. Do you realize one of the people they arrested was 31 years old? Is that a kid? It's a false narrative. This is 14-year-old kids. We got to get them off the street. But not wrong go. Now, at what point does someone become an adult? The average age of the ATV riders is 25 or 26. Are those kids? It is a false narrative of these are just some kids and they're trying to stay off the street. But no, wrong go. It's grown men in their 20s into their 30s. One of them arrested was 33. Is that a kid? They're in their mid to late 20s. They ride in a pack. They are beyond a traffic nuisance. They hurt quality of life. So, and as a result of that, hold on one moment. And as a result of that, something has to be done about it. And I commend. Now, I disagree. I think the mayor's being too generous, Mayor Smiley, but he'll hear them out. But it all becomes, it's all just noise. It's all noise. As far as that, it's kids, and then Black Lives Matter says that it's racist if you stop the ATV riders. They're a nuisance. It's dangerous. It never should have been allowed. And where Mayor Smiley is wise, the mayor of Providence, is it becomes a quality of life. If you allow it, it just gets worse. There's a progression. They will get worse, not better. They get worse. That's why you have to cut it off right here. So he's going to meet with them. And one of the people that he's going to meet with pretends he's an attorney. He's not. He has no idea what he's talking about. They quote court cases. They have no legal background. They try to do everything other than the issue. It is not the city's responsibility, like some people say. People are thrown when I push back on that. City should find a place for these kids to ride. Really? The city should find a place for a 30-year-old man who decides to pick up a hobby. Really, it's the city's responsibility to find the place for that. They're not 14. They're not 15. They're grown men. Get a job. Get real. Do something productive. I also want to just touch on, folks, and again, this portion of the John DePietro Show on this Easter Monday, and it's brought to you by J. Perry Paving. You know, I want to welcome them back. They are tremendous supporters of the program. And what a difference it makes for your home or business if you contact J. Perry Paving. And I've gone out, and they are just fantastic. But what a difference. It adds curb appeal to your home. It makes such an incredible difference. Something as simple as paving. Letter J, J. Perry Paving. If you're listening right now, you want to improve the look of your home, get your driveway paved. High quality, fair pricing, exceptional service. You know, I respect the work they do. I was with them on Saturday. They grind it. They grind it, and that is not easy work. And they transform, whether it is a parking lot or a driveway. J. Perry Paving. Free estimate for any project. So if you're listening right now on this Monday, whether you're watching on FB or whether you're listening on the radio, J. Perry Paving. Call them for a free quote. Call them today, 401-732-1730. 401-732-1730. And also, they're licensed and insured contracting company, no matter how big or how small. Maybe it's just a cracked driveway that needs to be refreshed or a brand new paving project. What a difference it makes. J. Perry Paving. You can find them on Facebook, and then they're also online. You can find them at jperrypaving.com. J and letter J, J. Perry Paving. Call today, free quote. You're going to hear me talk about them, and then you can also find them on Facebook, 401-732-1730. Now, for all the people that post all these things, I want to just touch on the homeless situation for a moment. Again, I'm not going to get into a specific name, but anyone that's really dealt with some of the homeless, I fully get that there is a big part of that, a large number of it is individuals with drug problems. There's no question about it. I've interviewed people, and they have said, yeah, the reason why is because I had a drug problem. I developed a drug problem for whatever reason, whether it was OxyContin or whether it was shooting or whatever it was that led them to that. And the reason why they sleep just wherever they pass out is they want to stay close to where the drugs are. Now, those individuals should be helped. There are people that are on the street that have a drinking problem. It seems to be more now of a drug problem. I remember someone I worked with telling a story that there was an individual who was, the way I had heard the story was, he had a bank job. He was a banker. And something happened with one of his children. I think somehow there was some kind of an accident and one of his children, young children, was killed. As a result of that, and you can understand, he just lost his way. And he started drinking, and he lost his job, and then the wife threw him out, and the person that I knew saw this person, and there he was suddenly living downtown. Now, that does happen, and there are safety nets, thank God, to help those individuals. There's no one been more generous to try to help those individuals, by the way, than the Catholic Church. So, but there are safety nets. However, you have that. You have people. They use meth. They use heroin. They use OxyContin. They want fentanyl, whatever. They're not living normally. Of course that's not normal. The reason why they're just passing out is because they're so out of it. That's very sad. However, we have a new subculture that has come into the mix. And that is the people who just feel they can get by. And one of the individuals we actually interviewed last spring. I'm not going to get into specific names. If you saw it, you'd remember it. But they are someone, they game the system. They don't have a job. This is someone, the person that we interviewed, she absolutely could hold a job. 100% could hold a job. Doesn't want to work. Nope. Doesn't want to work. Has some kind of a small disability check and relies on that. And games the system and wants hotel vouchers and knows how you can get a free phone and knows how you can get an EBT card and figures it's not great, but from now, April, if it's going to be 80 degrees this week, to November, it's like I'd rather live in a tent and live outside, and I want to go to Block Island, and I want to go to Oakland Beach, and I want to go wherever, and they get older. They're not young, but they find ways, and they hook up with other people, and they find little ways, but they're homeless, they're unemployed. There are more and more individuals. They know how to game the system. There are some people, they sell some of the EBT cards. You have people that live together. They each have their own EBT card with the children. There's a lot of fraud in that. But you can't start to allow, because mixed in with some of the people that do need help, that have a drug problem, that do need help, that have a drinking problem, that are a runaway or have had a tough childhood. Maybe they were a victim of sexual abuse or they were molested. Mixed in with that, you have these people that are gaming the system. And as I said, look at what has happened out on the West Coast. I mean, in the San Francisco area is a perfect example. They allow shoplifting, all these tents setting up on the street. As we've talked about, a lot of that started with the whole movement of Occupy Wall Street. There's a guy that I've mentioned him. He wrote a great book about it. And he said when the Occupy Wall Street kids, they weren't sleeping in cardboard boxes. They were sleeping in $1,000 tents and $2,000 tents. And very expensive tents that are all season, as a matter of fact. And when they gave up their Occupy Wall Street movement, they gave them to the homeless people. So now you have people setting up on the east side. Some of the college kids, they give the homeless people tents. They think they're helping them. They're not helping them. They're on public property. You know, you can't live that way. And if people want to live that way, if people say, I want the freedom, and I don't want to, you know, but you can't have it both ways. Right? You can't have it both ways. Then you can't be reliant on us. For all these people that say that could be any of us, there are people who are poor and they save their money and they have roommates. There are, as I've talked about, rent someone's basement, rent a garage. But to camp out and set up a tent and just the hands outs, they spend the money on booze and drugs. I'm not glamorizing it. Something needs to be done. It can't be allowed. It should not be allowed. You can't allow these people to just set up tents. And now look what happened. They were under the underpass. Now, I was under the underpass at 95. And you saw all those needles. So what does that tell you? Those are people with serious drug problems that you're actually injecting drugs. It's not insulin, right? They're not diabetics. the people, the activists that set up all those tents on the State House. Most of those tents were empty. There were some people living there, but look what they did with the Cranston Street Armory. Okay, you can come into the Cranston Street Armory. They were urinating all over the place. They couldn't even make it to the bathroom. They were defecating on the floor instead of going into a restroom. That's a slob. There's people who didn't pay attention in school, who wouldn't go to their job, that want to drink and party and not show up for work, so they lose their job, they don't pay their rent, they get high, they gamble, they don't want to take responsibility. My point is, why do we have to pay for them? But I have noticed they have more and more defenders. There's more and more people that push this whole narrative that it could be you. That could be you sleeping out in that tent on the sidewalk. And I'm telling you, I don't believe that. We didn't have that years ago. But look at, there's far more. If you go, and I've interviewed the homeless downtown. I have. They know where to go to get breakfast. They know where to go to get lunch. They know where to go to get dinner. They know where the food pantries are. They know how to, they spend all day doing basic chores because they don't work. They should be working. Our society is supposed to be that everyone contributes. My problem with the homeless, my largest problem, then I'm going to move on. I really want to talk about this Bud Light situation. Because Bud Light has no one to blame but themselves. But my problem with the homeless is they don't contribute anything. They're not contributing to society in any way. They feel we have to make up for it. I'm not talking about people with drug abuse problems should find a way to get them the help that they need. The fact that Governor McKee could not even figure out a way to help those people under the underpass is a complete failure. The way they treated the State House people was a failure. But you can't allow it. So this business, no, there are people that are poor. And people have a misconception. Listen, I want the border shut. No one has spoken out more about the illegals than I have. But I'll tell you this, the illegals work. You don't believe me? Go to any restaurant. See who the dishwasher is. You know what the illegals do? The families. They're very family-oriented, though. They'll live 9 in an apartment, and they save their money. They send a lot of money home. They work all day. When I was covering that shooting last summer, Silver Lake, you know who lived on that street, as one police officer said to me? Hard-working Guatemalan people who mind their own business and work all day. And who is on the street? All these young punks. All these young punks. Do you know in L.A., there are no Asian homeless people. There's no Asian homeless people. The bulk of them are white or black. There's no, what does that tell you? There's no Asian homeless. They work. It's unacceptable. So this business of, that could be you on the side, I don't believe that. No, you go to someone and say, I will pay you whatever, $50 a week if I can sleep in your garage. And then whatever. But they can't be on the street. But I've noticed more and more, they have defenders and people that want to carry this narrative. Like someone was saying that there are working families that are homeless. I don't believe that. The family that they highlighted and did a big story about in one of the local newspapers, the part that they wouldn't really go down is, as Justin Katz had talked about in our segment, Politics This Week, is that the family refused to leave Warwick. There were affordable apartments they could have moved into in Woonsocket. But they refused. No, we want to live and work. Well, you can't afford to live there. So it's not, and again, this isn't trying to kick someone while they're down. And I'm not trying to make light of that or in any way. But there are people who you move where the job is. How many people have to move because that's where their job is? You have to move to where there is affordable housing. All right, I want to talk about the Bud Light thing because it's wildly important. But it shouldn't look at New York. But the worst is the West Coast. Philadelphia is also really bad. What about the rights of the citizens? What about the business owner, right? Who wants to, you have a business. These people just decide to set up a tent in your doorway or in your, like, what is this? Wrong. Doesn't belong there. And so many of them, if they were working, work, save you money, pool your money, they wouldn't have time to be drinking and doing drugs all day. Folks, this portion of the program, now on this Easter Monday, it's brought to you by Unique Health. As I've told you in the past, there's no benefit to being obese. Unique Health will target that stubborn fat that you have. Can I say that word? Rapid, aggressive weight loss. There's no excuse. Get that weight off you, whether it's 30 pounds or 25 pounds or more. There are people put on 40 pounds, 50 pounds. The older you are, the harder it is to get off. There's no benefit to it. You develop more health problems the heavier you get. Call free seminar, Unique Health, 401-269-9155. 20 pounds in 10 days. Think how your life would change if you were 20 pounds lighter in 10 days. Call Sandra, 401-269-9155. Unique Health, sustainable weight loss. It'll increase your metabolism and energy, extreme weight loss. Unique Health, because everyone's situation is unique. Coaching, they also do a cleansing. Unique Health. Look for them on Facebook. They're right in Warwick, across from the Kent County Courthouse. It's Unique Health. Well, folks, good afternoon at 12:36. You're listening to the John DePietro Show on AM 1380 and 99.9 FM. This headline is something to watch. China ready to fight. Showdown with U.S. Navy. State TV shows war plan. None of this is good. Now also this shooting, downtown Louisville. Gunman storms bank, disgruntled ex-worker, 4 dead. Governor in tears. I want to hear that. But I'm saying right now, I'm looking at President Biden, and it's a go, question mark, would hit 86 years old in second term. Not if, but when for Newsom White House run. Now, I'm telling you, I still don't believe that Biden is going to run. I'm still not convinced of that. I know he has signaled intention to do it, but things are, Kentucky governor in tears, he reveals close friends among the death. I will play some of that sound. But I'm just, I'm saying I'm just not convinced, because things are ratcheting up, and things are, I think, over the next few months. He's in no rush. He hasn't announced one way or the other. But I believe that Biden is not going to run. I don't think he is. We shall see. Would hit 86 years old in his second term. We also, DeSantis pushes toughest immigration crackdown in the nation. But the opposite of what we're doing. Led by Governor DeSantis, a Republican, Florida is considering a sweeping package of immigration measures that would represent the toughest crackdown on illegals by any state in more than a decade. Republicans have supermajorities in both Florida chambers. So, and this is a response to the open border. The bills would expose people to felony charges for sheltering, hiring, and transporting illegals. Require hospitals to ask patients their immigration status and report to the state. Invalidate out-of-state driver's licenses issued to illegals, and direct the Florida Department of Law Enforcement provide assistance to federal authorities. Now, what this is also really going to do is, what do you think that's going to do? That's going to draw more illegals out of Florida and come to states like Rhode Island, where you have someone like Governor McKee. I also wanted to mention, before I talk about the Bud Light situation, folks, this business, McKee Outlines, proposed $20 million road repair grant program. You know, everything with this guy is grants, and the government's going to give the money. That $20 million, you know why the $20 million is? Is because the truck toll lost in court, they were expected to generate a direct pipeline of revenue of $45 million. So because that was halted, this is half of the $45 million that organized labor wants from that. I recognize a lot of people don't understand that the DOT, it's all unionized, that's all organized labor. Some people don't fully get that, but they want their money. Remember, it doesn't matter to them how they get it, but they want their money. That's what it really comes down to. Now, this Bud Light situation, which is comical, by the way, and I think a lot of people are familiar with it, but Bud Light decided to change their marketing and decided to go into kind of a different direction. And during the Final Four, they decided they were going to have a transgender individual part of their campaign. And so the marketing person, who has now destroyed the Bud Light brand, cut a video and was trying to explain the reasoning behind it. And this is, to me, the classic of, just because people are silent, it doesn't mean they're on board with it. So when you have the Bud Light head of marketing, doesn't even drink beer, by the way, but we have to get rid of this and blah, blah, blah. This woman, absolutely, they can't be fired fast enough. And I want to play the Bud Light executive, marketing VP. You know, we had to get out of the frat boy and the out of touch branding. Alyssa Hershad, Bud Light's VP of marketing. She has completely destroyed the brand. Listen to her.
I had a really clear job to do when I took over Bud Light, and it was, this brand is in decline. It's been in decline for a really long time, and if we do not attract young drinkers to come and drink this brand, there will be no future for Bud Light. So I had this super clear mandate. It's like, we need to evolve and elevate this incredibly iconic brand. And what I brought to that was a belief in, okay, what does evolve and elevate mean? It means inclusivity. It means shifting the tone.
No, it doesn't.
It means having a campaign
that's
truly inclusive and feels lighter and brighter and different and appeals to women and to men. And representation is at sort of the heart of evolution. You've got to see people who reflect you in the work. And we had this hangover. I mean, Bud Light had been kind of a brand of bratty, kind of out of touch humor, and it was really important that we had another approach.
You know, I want to just touch on that. At 12:43, who drinks? You have to come down to who drinks beer. Who drinks beer? It's young men. It's young men who are under or between the ages of 8. It's really 18 to 24. It is. I know the drinking age is 21, but the huge majority of beer drinkers are young guys, 18 to 21. That's who's drinking the beer. Their mission is to sell more Bud Light. Not, women don't drink a lot of beer. Never mind now, women really don't drink beer. There's so many different options for women in what they can and can, choices of drink. So the fratty, diversity, it's incredible this woman rose to this rank of VP of Bud Light. This notion that, and I tell the story, of being, and I've told the story, of being at, it was William Hall Library, and Nicole Solis was having something about all the gender transitioning going on, being encouraged in the schools. And the gender transitioning that is going on and being almost encouraged, actually, in society right now. And what really this all comes down to, transforming the Bud Light brand. And the way we're going to do it is with transgender activist Dylan Mulvaney. Dylan Mulvaney celebrated 365 days of girlhood. Dylan Mulvaney. And they unleashed it, I believe, during the Final Four. Now, I don't really know about Bud Light stands behind partnership with trans activist Dylan Mulvaney, despite backlash, a TikTok star, 10 million followers. I'm trans, and I drink Bud Light. Dressed like Aubrey Hepburn's character in Breakfast at Tiffany's, and cracks open a Bud Light can. This month, I celebrated 365 days of womanhood, and Bud Light sent me possibly the best gift ever, a can with my face on it. So here is the idea of, if people want to do this gender transformation, right? The gender transformation. I am, I'm actually, I was born a male, but I'm actually a female. And I'm a female, but I'm actually a male. And in sports, and it is ludicrous, the transgender swimmers and the transgender track runners and the unfair competition that it sets up and all of that aspect of it. Just because normal people are not protesting in the streets doesn't mean they accept it, embrace it, or feel it normal. It just means they tolerate it, is really what it means to me. They tolerate it. So I want to go back to, I was at William Hall Library, and Nicole Solis was just going to have someone come in and speak at the library about the transgender movement, specifically in schools. And I've mentioned there, on the steps is Reverend Donald Anderson, who is now, the past couple of years, big interview in the Journal, and he's encouraged and cheered on, and he's a hero. And all of this time, he feels he has actually been a female trapped in a man's body. And so he grew his hair long. Bruce Jenner, Caitlyn Jenner, is still the most famous. No one is encouraging violence. No one is encouraging they should be criticized, right? No one is saying, listen, I've seen the, quote, Reverend Anderson, but him standing on the steps of William Hall Library with the long hair and whatever getup he was in and screaming, right? I am a woman in a man's body and I'm perfectly normal. Should he be criticized? No, let him, whatever, right? Should he be insulted? Should he be, no, zero. But don't ever think that the general public is behind that. Like many other things, the general public should tolerate that. And again, they shouldn't be shunned. They shouldn't be discriminated against. But don't ever think people are on board with that. That's the mistake that Bud Light went into. There's no normal thinking person that says that swimmer, who's a guy who grew his hair long, who said, I identify as a male, who was beating the best female swimmer by a minute, no normal, logical individual thinks, well, that's a woman in the pool. No, it's not a woman in the pool. So for Bud Light, like it is actually frightening that woman, they allowed her to destroy the brand. So people, they're not going to protest. They don't want to be shunned. They don't want attention. But what do? They're just not going to buy the brand. And Bud Light, you go to the liquor store, it's sitting on the shelves. You talk to any restaurant, and it's just no one's ordering it. They decided to destroy the brand. They allowed that woman to do it. I don't know how they're going to come back from this. You know, you do see people enter into the fray sometimes. Allie's Donuts, summer 2020, police, military, no more discount. We want Black Lives Matter. Fantastic. It's America, free country, but guess what? Regular people aren't going there anymore because they have that freedom as well. There's two sides to that coin. The fact that Bud Light allowed that woman to make that decision, it sure sounds like she actually hates who their consumers are. It's a competitive market. It's a very, very competitive market. But this Alyssa Hershid, VP of Marketing, completely destroyed the brand. She did. And anyone, if you go to a package store, people are filming. Bud Light, no one's buying it. Huge blunder. Bud Light exec sheds light on company's controversial partner with the transgender activist. It drew a line. Well, the most important thing is the most important thing is a message to get young men 21 to 24 to drink your product. That's your mission. That's your mission. The fact they allowed this to happen is their fault.
They had a really clear job to do when I took over Bud Light. And it was, this brand is in decline. It's been in decline for a really long time. And if we do not attract young drinkers to come and drink this brand, there will be no future for Bud Light. So I had this super clear mandate. It's like we need to evolve and elevate this incredibly iconic brand. And what I brought to that was a belief in, okay, what does evolve and elevate mean? It means inclusivity. It means shifting the tone.
No, it doesn't.
It means having a campaign that's truly inclusive and feels lighter and brighter and different and appeals to women and to men. Mm-hmm. And representation is at sort of the heart of evolution. You want to see people who reflect you in the work. And we had this hangover. I mean, Bud Light had been kind of a brand of fratty, kind of out of touch humor, and it was really important that we had another approach.
I mean, and she single-handedly destroyed the brand. What she did, that woman, what she did with Bud Light will now be a textbook marketing example of what not to do. That's what they have done. Completely, she doesn't like the image that they've had. She certainly doesn't like who's consuming the product. Completely has destroyed the brand. I mean, not even close. To think the way we're going to attract fratty, so you don't want frat guys drinking it. That's really interesting. What a complete disaster. Someone allowed it. Someone completely allowed her to make these changes. Bud Light trans partnership left me no choice but to shoot woke beer. Now, I think that was Kid Rock. Bud Light silent on social media. Dylan Mulvaney controversy. What are the liquor stores going to start to say? Don't send us Bud Light anymore. No one's buying it. No one's buying it. I also see, where are people boycotting Bud Light over partnership? It's going to grow. It's going to get worse. Hey, they have every right to market the way they want to market themselves. And the consumer has the right not to accept it and not go with it. So someone made the mistake to hire her. Someone else made the mistake to put her in charge of the marketing campaign. What's the brand? Why are people going there? You go to an Italian restaurant. What is your expectation? We'd like you to try this new burrito. I don't think so. We'd like you to try this new French soup. No. No. I came in, if you go to Olive Garden, what is the expectation? You go to Taco Bell, what is the expectation? It's Bud Light. Who drinks it? You're going to go broke if you're going to count on 30-year-old men. You're going to go broke if you're going to count on young women. Oh, we're going to be the number one beer of people who are trans. Is that what it's going to be? What an absolute disgrace. That's not what it is. That's not why people are drinking it. Now, I don't know enough. They certainly have more competition and all different types of campaigns, right, that can come into play with this. But the people that drink it have every right not to buy. And now the liberal woke progressives, I'm going to drink Bud Light. Then whatever. Let them buy and drink Bud Light. It is unimaginable. That certainly wasn't tested. We're going to have this trans TikTok star. That is so pathetic. And that woman trying to explain it, she hates their customer base. Because guess what? That's the customer base. You know, Miller tried that. I know a little bit about it. I've taken some marketing courses. I remember they talked about Miller, which was the champagne of beers when it first came out. Or if you watch Mad Men, they would sometimes talk about that. With the champagne of beers, the problem was people were saving the Miller and they weren't drinking it because it became almost like you have champagne on a special occasion. And then they pivoted into, it's Miller time. Work is done for the day, it's Miller time. They changed the champagne of beers to, at any time is Miller time. Right? That's what it became. That was good marketing. A lot of the beer commercials over time have become, and it's competitive and it's changing and you got to keep going like that. But a trans activist is your spokesperson, completely tone deaf. No idea who the consumer is. Folks, this portion of the John DePietro Show on this Monday, Falcon Pest Services. Call them today, 401-739-1322. Rhode Island or Massachusetts. Now with this warm weather, you're going to start to see termites, bedbugs, ants, roaches, mice, rats, mosquitoes, many other pests. Serving Rhode Island and Massachusetts, Falcon Pest Services. Call them today. Maybe it's a one-time treatment. Maybe it's quarterly. Maybe it's once a year. Falcon Pest Services. Call them today for your condo, for your home, for your building, for your restaurant, for your hotel, or whatever. Any business, Falcon. Falcon. You can look for them on Facebook and then online, falconpestservice.com. Folks, call them, schedule a service. Again, one-time treatment, once a year or quarterly. Falcon Pest Services. Well, folks, good afternoon at 12:58. What's interesting to me is regular people don't want to get into an argument on social media. Regular, everyday, normal people, they don't want to get into an argument on Facebook. They don't want to get into an argument on Twitter. They don't want to get into an argument when someone, a pollster, calls. Okay, but that's where then it really comes out. Most of the time, the ballot box, and also where people spend their money. That's where it comes out. I used to buy Bud Light. I'm going to buy Coors Light. I'm going to buy Ultra Light. I'm going to buy something else. I'm going to buy Heineken Light, but I'm not buying Bud Light. You know why? That's what I think of your stupid transgender promotion. They're not going to argue with the progressives. They're not going to argue with the woke crowd. No, I'm going to get something else. I'm not supporting that cause. I'm not going to have them say what a big success it was, because I don't have to do that. All right, now, coming up, we're going to break for the 1 o'clock news. We will be doing Facebook Live later. Folks, again, big story today is the shooting out of Kentucky. We have another full hour to go on the radio, including politics this week with Justin Katz. It's the John DePietro Show. We're back after the 1 o'clock news.